Welcome. Now we're at the heart of the process of registering an LLC. Let's jump over again to the Secretary of State's website so you can walk through the process with me. In the last video, we left off where we were searching for Angel's Bakery. Now we're ready to actually do a filing. So let's go back to Business Filings Online. And we see down here, file a new business or nonprofit. Here are the filing fees. Now, if you're located in Minnesota and you're setting up an LLC for the first time, you're going to be doing a limited liability company domestic. Foreign is if you already have an LLC in another state. It's foreign to Minnesota. It might be in Wyoming, Delaware, Texas, California, but it's not domestic to Minnesota. Since you're doing this the very first time, we want to do a limited liability company domestic. And as you can see over here, the current fee for filing is $155. All right, let's move down. An account is required. You have to either sign into your account or create one online. Now don't worry, it's free. And it allows you to enter a credit card and go through the formal registration process. Since I already have an account, I'm going to sign in. In fact, let me walk you through creating an account online real quick here. You just pick a username and password and you click create. You just walk through that process. All right, so I'm going to sign in because I already have an account. And I'm going to use my little password manager to log in. All right. Having logged in, we now see a new type of menu. Here, you can again search for the business name. Let's go through that one more time. You can see it's the same menu we had before. Angel's Bakery. All right, nothing shows up. That's great. We can scroll back and forth. Good. Now we'll go back to Business Filings Online. This time we're going to scroll down. And we see limited liability company domestic. You saw this a moment ago before we had logged in. But this time it doesn't warn us that you have to log in first. So, limited liability company domestic. We're going to click on that. The first question you need to decide is right here. Is it nonprofit or for-profit? Well, most or all businesses are going to be for-profit. The only time you would do a nonprofit is if it was going to be a nonprofit organization, like a 501c3. Okay, so that's good. For-profit, every business is going to check for-profit. Now this professional status and services. It says here a professional firm governed under this particular chapter provides professional services which are required or permitted to be furnished under a license, registration, or certificate issued by the state of Minnesota. And then it gives some examples. Accountancy, that would be like an accountant setting up an accounting firm, a CPA, a law firm for lawyers, medicine and surgery for doctors, landscape, architecture, etc. Now if you're saying, I'm not sure whether I am a professional firm. How do I look that up? Well, it's pretty simple. We're just going to copy Chapter 319B. Let's open up a new browser window. We'll type in Minnesota Statutes Chapter 319B. Here it is. Comes up first in Google. We're going to the Minnesota Legislature's webpage. This is the whole statute related to professional firms. As you can see here, it's called the Professional Firms Act. Often when you click on the very first section, it will just be, hey, this section is called the Minnesota Professional Firms Act. It's just the name of the statute. Let's go back. Now there are a number of rules here. You're welcome to read through these. And in fact, if you're a professional firm, you probably should get the help of an attorney because there are additional provisions and factors to think through. And let's face it, if you're a professional LLC providing professional services, there's probably a significant amount of money involved. you've invested a significant amount of money to get your license, it would make sense to actually work with an attorney. But let's walk through this here. Definitions. That's section 319B.02. I'll click on that. And this is where it just kind of rolls through what are the different definitions of each of these. What we're looking for is subdivision 19 here. This is the big one. This is what tells you whether your business is governed by the Professional Firms Act. And it says here, it's any business related to medicine and surgery, physician assisted, chiropractic, registered nurse, optometry, psychology, social work, marriage and family therapy, professional counseling, dentistry, dental hygienist, pharmacy, on and on, veterinary, architecture, engineering. I won't read all of these here, but you get the idea. So if you're one of those, then you're governed under the Professional Firms Act. Let's now jump back to the process of registering an LLC. Will your company be a professional firm that operates under that act? If you are one of those, like a doctor, lawyer, architect, you should click yes. But if you're a web developer, or if you have a lawn mowing business or a bakery, click no. What that's going to do is it's going to add an additional section to the articles of organization that the Secretary of State is going to create for you in the background. That's why that's important. No means you don't get that section inserted into your articles. Yes means that special section is added for you as required by law. Okay, so since Angel's Bakery is not a professional firm, we'll say no and move on to the next section. Let's now verify that the business name is available. We type in Angel's Bakery, and here you can pick the extension that you want. It can be LLC with periods and spaces, no spaces. You can actually spell out limited liability company, like Angel's Bakery, comma, limited liability company. You, of course, can do all caps, or what most places do, the most convenient option, LLC with no space, no punctuation. Just keep it simple. Now we'll click search. It's available. That's great news. Let's actually capitalize it just in case that matters. We'll search one more time. That looks beautiful. That's what the new name will be. So let's now file your limited liability company. All right, you can fill out your information here. Aaron Paul, I don't use a last name. I don't need to do a suffix. By the way, since it's owned by an individual, we'll do that. In fact, let's do Angel Smith. And Angel lives on 12345 Cookie Lane in Cookie. Actually, let's just do Minneapolis, Minnesota 55401. We don't need to worry about the extension on the zip code, and she's clearly in the United States of America. All right, so that's the person who is organizing the LLC. The organizer, let's talk about this. The organizer is the filer. That's the person who files the paperwork for the LLC. That is not the owner. So when I, as an attorney, file LLC paperwork for one of my clients, I am the organizer, not the client, not the owner of the LLC. Now, if you're filing this for your own business, obviously you would be the organizer. But the point here is anyone who's filling out this website is the organizer typically. You could have multiple organizers, but there really isn't any reason to do that. Let's click next. You can add a registered agent. That's a person's name who would have to receive paper documents if there was a lawsuit. It's not required in Minnesota, so let's skip it. Now you have to do a registered office address. This is the official address for the business. So if the business gets sued, the paperwork would go to this address and it would be delivered in person. That's why you can't do a post office box. You see that right here. A post office box by itself is not acceptable. It needs to be a physical address of an actual location. Now you're welcome to use your home. That's fine because you're physically there and you're running a home business. Now, if you don't want to have your home address used and you're running a home business, you might use a service of process, or I'm sorry,